Now, if you're pouring a concrete slab like the one behind me, you are not going to be hand mixing. You need some type of concrete mixer if you're not going to order a concrete truck. So I did a little bit of a comparison, a side-by-side head-to-head challenge. One side is 8 foot by 12 foot, and I poured that with the Harbor Freight concrete mixer, and the other is exactly the same dimensions where we use the mud mixer. Is there much of an advantage, one or the other? So we'll kick things off with the Harbor Freight concrete mixer, and this is a classic. This thing has been out for years and years and years. It's about $275 depending on whether there's a sale or not, and it's going to be a batch mix operation. Here's an 80-pound bag of Quikrete. I recommend cutting it down the middle, splitting it with a piece of rod underneath, and then now cut the paper so you can handle only 40 pounds at a time. Makes it a lot easier to load that into the mixer itself. Here is a complete batch. So I'm washing out the inside and filling it with water, and that's gonna be the water for my next batch. I fill it to kind of that black gasket in the middle, and that's where I know I have a consistent amount of water. And then once I have both of those 40-pound bags in, I will move it down one notch, and then gravity kind of helps with that mix and makes it a little bit faster to get done mixing. But what you will notice is this is going to take hours and hours and hours if it's a slab this size. 8 foot by 12 foot is what we're doing here. So while you're putting new concrete on the one end and continuing to mix, you also need to make sure you're doing the processes on the other end as your concrete sets up. So it's a little bit of a dance and just something you want to be aware of. And if you have a helping hand, it would help a lot to have somebody on the mixer and then somebody working the concrete. That would be a lot easier. Now let's switch over and show you the mud mixer, and I'll compare at the end side by side exactly what it is on the times, the cost, so you guys can use it on your own project. The mud mixer is completely different. It's not batch, it's a continuous feed unless you turn it off, and you might have to turn it off. I think I turned it off about 3 times for this 8 by 12 slab. How it works, it's actually got an auger in the middle. It injects the water there in the dry mix, and then it mixes throughout the length of the auger and then comes out at the finished product on the other end. And here's the extension. Try to get the extension if you can, and then also the expansion hopper. It really builds up the capacity. There's a water dial here which will allow you to decrease and increase the amount of water, and you'll see my mix is a little bit dry. That's why I just increased the amount of water, but I was usually at about 60 to 65 on the water dial for my conditions. And this hopper I saw could hold about 240 pounds of concrete at any given time. But it will also take you a bit of time, so you're going to be, if it's a one-man operation like this, you're going to be working your concrete while using the mud mixer. So that's why I had to shut it down. I could not keep up loading that thing, moving the concrete around, and also mag floating, edging, and then broom finish as I go about. But again, you'll get into your own flow, and I would reduce the amount of times you stop it because it does take a while to dial in your water mixture every time you stop it. So if you can keep it continuously feeding, I would highly recommend it, and that's going to get you a more consistent product, as I was pouring a little bit wet every time that I had to stop. You do not want concrete to dry in the auger because you are going to have a heck of a time cleaning that out. So here are the results of the side-by-side. Now from a cost perspective, it is really a buy versus rent comparison. You're under $300 on the Harbor Freight, and you're at about $100 a day for your mud mixer, depending on what rental company you're using. I poured the same size pad, 4 inches thick. The temperature was the same. Now I did have light rain on the Harbor Freight day, and it was nice and sunny on the mud mixer day. It took me 51 bags to fill the 8 by 12 on the Harbor Freight and 54 bags on the mud mixer. Now total time to pour. Harbor Freight took 5 hours and 45 minutes, and that is also with me finishing the concrete along the way, but it does not include waiting afterwards to complete my broom finish. This is basically how long did it take to mix and fill the entire slab. Now, mud mixer took only 3 hours and 30 minutes. And again, I had to stop the mud mixer multiple times. It could have went a lot faster than that. And that worked out to an average per 80-pound bag of 4 minutes on the mud mixer or 7 minutes on the Harbor Freight concrete mixer. So hopefully this information can help you kind of plan out your own pour and which one is right for you. The question is, which one would I choose for DIY homeowners? For one, I really want to get your feedback, so make sure you let me know down in the comments which one would you choose. If I had a lot of small projects stretch over a duration of time, I'm going to go with the Harbor Freight because I'm going to own it and I'm going to be able to use it across a bunch of different projects, and that cost is going to be set, at least for the mixer side. If I had something larger like the pad I was pouring here in this video, the mud mixer all day long. It's much faster, and I think you get a better result as you can really tune in that continuous feed. Now, this is all assuming that you do not have access and you can't get a truck in, because obviously a concrete truck is going to be much faster than either one of these methods.